I'm Tom Eastman of the Conway Daily Sun, and today on Sun TV we have Nathan Hall from the Lutheran Church of the Nativity, but more to the point, from the Way Station. And we've got some exciting music and events coming up to help the Way Station, which is just right off. It's going to be August 24th, that's Sunday, and you're teaming up with Cold River Radio Show.
That's right. Yes, we're very grateful to Jonathan Sardi for working with us and pulling together this program.
And it's going to be at, excuse me, it's going to be at the Majestic Cafe.
The Majestic Theater.
Majestic Theater, right.
Yes.
I go to the Majestic Cafe on Friday for the great jazz, but this will be in the theater, Mountaintop Music's Majestic Theater. And Cold River, is this the first time they have teamed up with Way Station?
It is, yes.
Because you did something at the Laura Hill Eastman Academy last
We did.
Performing Arts Center at Freiburg Academy last year.
That's correct. Last year was our first time we had any program where we did a big fundraiser, and we had a band called Hawktail come, and they put on a wonderful show.
I went. It was really good. Yeah.
It was. And we realized that this could become sort of our annual way to raise funds for the Way Station, and also to raise awareness, to let people know who we are, what we do. And so we were casting around, and we crossed paths with Jonathan Sardi, and he graciously agreed to work with us to do a fundraiser this year.
And in addition to the concert, which is going to be headlined the excellent Cassandra McKinley, if you haven't seen her, she is just such a great jazz interpreter and vocalist and sultry voice, and just takes your heart away when she does a romantic song like Cry Me a River or whatever. She's just fantastic. Teaches at Berkeley and is also a recording artist. But and we have, we were talking offset, but the Ghost of Paul Revere was a great main band, and they've the lead singer is now on solo, and his name is Griffin. Griffin William Sherry, and he's got a song called Reflections. So those are the two headliners, but you've also got Dr. Peter Crane and the Mount Washington Moment, and you've also got this pre-show event. And what's that going to be?
So part of this show, as we said, it's partly a celebration of arts, music coming together to make community, enjoy time together, but also we want to raise awareness about homelessness. And we have Jennifer Chisholm, who's the executive director of the New Hampshire Coalition to End Homelessness. She is someone who has spent lots of time looking at all the stats, compiling the stats, figuring out what places there's movement in, trying to understand the underlying causes of homelessness, and they're not what we usually maybe think. And so she's going to come. She'll give a brief talk during the event itself, but before the event,
Because
at
the
5:30.
event's at 7.
The event's at 7.
But what's going to happen at 5:30?
But she's coming to give a talk which she sort of has called Homelessness 101. It's an introduction to understanding it's a very complex topic, but sort of helping us get into causes, what dynamics are at play behind the scenes for support, what traps people in these situations. And so it's going to be just helping us learn to understand who our homeless neighbors are.
And I want to backtrack for those who don't know, what is the Way Station?
That is a fantastic question.
Right.
So the Way Station is a nonprofit. We started, I guess, maybe 6 or so years ago now, and have been evolving ever since. But our root mission is to help the housing insecure and homeless members of our community. And that help happens in a variety of ways. For instance, Carroll County does not have a shelter. It does have special interests, so like if for domestic violence, there's a shelter for that. For recovery, there's a shelter for that. But for folks who are just experiencing homelessness, there's no place that they can go to be sheltered. And so what we've done historically is pretty much told people the options are go find a shelter. If there happens to be an opening at one far away, that means, of course, you lose your community. If you have a job, which actually many homeless people do, you lose your job. And so everything gets uprooted by lack of housing. And so the way station's response is to
And
just...
it's located on Grove Street, correct?
Our main center is located on Grove Street, on 15 Grove Street.
Next to the church.
Next to the church. We are
in
open...
In the old rectory.
That's correct, in the old rectory. So there's the Lutheran church across the street from the Gibson Center, and behind that church there's a huge house, and that house is the way station occupies that house. And it's open on Mondays by appointment, and Thursdays also by appointment. Mondays it's 10 to 2, Thursdays it's 10 to 6, and we provide a wide range of services.
You can stop and get a shower.
You could get a shower there. It's important to get an appointment for a shower. So
laundry.
You can, yes, we will give out laundry cards to people so that they can go to CV Laundromat. It used to be, we actually did laundry in the building.
That's what I thought. No.
Yes, that was the case at one point, and then the demand was bigger than our washing machine's capacity. And so we learned that it was far more effective to provide a laundry card so that people could go do laundry in the laundromat.
And we should mention Karen Albert, the executive director, as well as, is it Ted Levine?
So we have Karen Albert's the development director. Dan Levine.
Dan Levine.
Yes, he runs our day-to-day operations. So in the way station, we're not just clear cut. We do one thing. We have one thing that we're currently doing rather well, and several other areas that we are more aspirational, that we're working towards. The one thing we're doing is this day resource center that Dan runs, and that's where you get the showers, it's where you get laundry cards. If you need a phone, because how else are you going to contact an employer or anything else like that, we'll give out a phone plus a few months worth of phone cards, and not all at one go, but subsequent months we'll give them out. In the winter, we give out gas cards, especially weighted towards people who are sleeping in their vehicles, so that they can be a little warmer. We will give out tents and sleeping bags, and so we try to sort of fill all the little gaps so that someone can survive, but we aren't providing anything like a stable situation.
And the obvious question is, how bad of a problem is this? I think I did a story where Damon did a story about, you did a study and it said 100 people in Carroll County or in Conway are homeless.
If I can provide a little context for that. Every January there's a survey that is performed by HUD called the Point in Time Survey to count the population of homeless folks. And that survey is designed specifically in January because the thought is that's when people will most likely be in shelters and therefore most likely be findable. For a county that doesn't have a shelter, January is not really a great time to count our homeless population.
I see.
And so the theory is that we'll have a 24-hour period in which we count everyone who is unhoused in whatever format, be that, sometimes it could be couch surfing, could be sleeping in the woods, it could be they're staying in hotels for, and the rules tend to change year by year and the numbers fluctuate as a result without clarity as to why they're fluctuating. But so for that 24-hour period, we team up with a few other agencies and try to cover the whole of Carroll County and figure out how many homeless people there are, and the amount of funding we would get is, for certain projects, is affected by that.
And 100 people is what you determined?
Yes, we had 100 households.
100 households, so
we
more than
more people. And those are only the people we counted, not the ones we did not reach. So it has to be someone who made contact with.
And how are they invisible within our community? Where are they? We were surrounded by the National Forest, so campgrounds and...
There are a variety of places. One of the things that happens is we have, people will come here because there are lots of job opportunities, work, but you get here and realize that the cost of living is high, especially for rent, if you can find a house at all, which is even a taller order. And so people will get here and end up either spending all their income on hotels until, the cost, it doesn't balance. And so they'll go into debt working here. That's one avenue.
Isn't that something? Go into debt working here.
That will happen. And so that's one avenue. Another avenue would be, mental health. That is a thing that will prevent people from working. You go on disability, et cetera. The availability of housing for people in our community who have that need is very small, and it's full. So
And I think just to stop on one point you made a few minutes ago, most people think, oh, the homeless, they don't have a job, get a job. You're saying that many do have jobs?
many do have jobs.
But the lack of affordable housing is so topical here as well as throughout the state. But you're saying they do have jobs, but one, there isn't housing, let alone affordable housing.
In many cases, and I'm not saying in every case, there are cases where people don't have jobs and it could be they can't work, and maybe some just don't want to. That is a possibility, right? But I think oftentimes we paint the whole group as a whole as a way to dismiss them. So we say, oh, they don't have jobs, they're just lazy, so I don't have to care. But they're actually our community members, and many of them are trying to work. There's a, we have several stories from people who will describe trying to stay in a campground. You say, go to the National Forest, you're allowed to camp there for 14 days before you have to move 10 miles as the bird flies. They will do that, and they'll camp, and they try to hold down a job while also trying to maintain hygiene appropriate to a professional position. And they are exhausted. They'll have both people working constantly. They'll go clean up in a stream, shower, go to work, get back, try to cook on their stove, take care of everything that you have to take care of, and you know how tired you are throughout your day, but do that whilst having to juggle being itinerant, camping, having to move every 14 days. And it's tiring and hard.
And what type of services? We listed some, but do you provide food?
We do provide food. We like, there's also the Vaughn Center, so we try not to duplicate services. We actually work with the Vaughn. The Vaughn has been very helpful to the way station.
I was going to ask you about that. Yeah.
But the Vaughn tends to stock food that can be cooked in a kitchen. And so we specialize in our pantry with food that can be just, you open a can and eat it. That's not exclusive. Like, there's crossover. One of the things that we have started doing is we realize that the Vaughn does not have a mechanism to deliver food to people without vehicles. And so we have a volunteer who will take food out, and sometimes that's to homeless folks. Sometimes it's to people who are housed but don't have the wherewithal to have a vehicle.
They'll go to campsites or?
Not usually campsites. The people with campsites are usually mobile enough that they get in to get food. But they usually deliver it to the hotel rooms that happened, and houses. But
well, Dr. Amy Frechette at the Mount Washington Valley stated status of housing last December breakfast forum at the Grand Summit at Attitash shocked everybody with her report about how homelessness and home insecurity was with people couch surfing at friends and family, how greatly it was impacting the local student population.
Yes.
No one had any clue, I think, until she spilled the beans on that.
Well, it didn't surprise me.
I bet.
But I will say that one of the things we tend to see less of, we do see some families. A lot of families do not come to the way station. And I think that may be for a variety of reasons, one of which is families who are in that position, I think, often try to keep a very low profile. May not want to be very visible.
Yeah.
So,
what type of hope do you offer? What type of, is there training? Is there education about how to go about day-to-day needs of, mortgage, I mean, not mortgage, but financing, help?
I'm grateful for that question,
Okay.
actually. So I mentioned we have some things we're doing and some things we're aspiring to. One of the things that we are aspiring to, we've actually hired a person to work on a program called Circle. Randy, they are the pastor
Circle.
at the Methodist Church. So Circles
Circle.
USA. It is a national program for helping people lead themselves out of the sort of paycheck to paycheck lifestyle, so in poverty. And so this program is more in the housing insecure population side of our mission statement. It's designed for people who are stable, but there's no safety net, and one thing could drive them into becoming homeless again. And so it's a sort of program that joins members of the community who are in that position of living paycheck to paycheck with people who are well versed in playing the game of America's economy, learning how to navigate budgeting, tenant-landlord relationship, all those things.
Yeah.
But also people who have social capital in the community that they can help give this person a leg up with. And so it's, I think, an interesting program. One of the things we're having a hard time with, because our community is either people who are working and frantically busy or retired and are traveling, is finding volunteers who can commit to a patch of time. So we're trying to find workarounds for that. So it's saying that the typical thing is you would have 2 volunteers for one family or one person who's trying to lead themselves out of this situation. Our model is shifting. Maybe we have a team of volunteers, so some can go on their vacation. So if that's something people are interested in, reach out. And I think it's hopefully an effective program. It's had very good results at its broader national level.
Well, I always tell friends we're such a small, caring community, but there's so much need. So I can't imagine how anybody could be bored if they want to make a difference in whether it's being a driver for Carroll County RSVP.
It's a fantastic program, yeah.
Or helping out with the way station with you guys, or going to Conway Area Humane and walking dogs like our photographer Rachel does every Friday. But there's so many ways that you can make a difference. And this sounds like one that's very needed. How many clients, do you call them clients? How many people?
We use the word client, yes.
How many clients are you serving?
So on an average week, this is rough, but I'll say 30 households per week.
What kind of a budget does that require? Speaking of,
I wish I had that paper
we're
with me,
raising
but yes,
money here.
We're raising money, yes. So there are varieties of draws on that budget. One of the programs we haven't mentioned is we have a grant that we get through the winter that we're able to use to put people in hotels on the coldest nights.
Federal grant?
At this point, yeah. Well, it's administered through the state, but comes from the federal government.
So.
We'll see.
Yeah.
At this point, we're being told we have it still this year.
Okay. How much is that for? Do you know?
That one, I'm going to get this wrong, but it's going to be ballpark. I'm going to say it was somewhere a little north of 100,000.
Okay.
But that goes fairly quickly.
Significant, though. Oh, really?
It does. Well, we have a couple hotels with whom we negotiate prices and rooms, and they've been very kind to work with us. And we have, because we're not strictly limited to, we define our region of service as Mount Washington Valley, so we're not strictly limited to a town. I think this is another topic, but addressing homelessness on a town-by-town basis is kind of fraught, because what makes someone a resident of a town? But anyway, we have a hotel down in Ossipee that works with us, and we have a couple up in Conway. And so we have a whole system in place where we call and put someone in a hotel for the night. And that 100,000, we have to be very careful how many nights we call, because we will run out before the worst of the weather goes. So there's always this sort of dance we're trying to do of, is this a critical enough event that we're going to not regret it later when we need another event and we're out of money.
Are we a draw for people to come? You said about the jobs, but I mean, are we a good place to come if you're homeless, or are we a bad place?
Well, we are a bad place in that we don't have a shelter. But of course we're a draw because we have tourist economy, right? We have everything that draws people to want to vacation here and draws you to want to live here, draws other people here too. And the idea of there being forests where they can go camp, there are some people who are drawn by that idea. It is not everyone. I don't think that the services we provide are commensurate with services people can find elsewhere. But our natural surroundings, the beauty of where we live, that's a draw.
and as you said, to be able to camp out in the forest. Has the town of Conway had a greater drain this year on the welfare budget? I mean, we talk about the economy and everything, but how dire is it right now?
That'd be a good question for BJ. I'm not clear exactly where the welfare office is. I do know that we have actually, the work of the way station, one of the arguments in favor of the town supporting the way station, which it does, thank you, Conway, and other towns that support too, it's not just Conway.
Do you know how much the warrant article is every year?
I believe 10,000.
Okay.
The support that they give actually, though, has reduced the amount spent by BJ, was one of the arguments that she sort of put forward in favor of us. That we
She does a tremendous job.
She is in a tough position.
She's such a resource,
Yes.
and to think of what her daily job is to help out people who are really at their wits' end. So she's really something else. I do know that we just had the North Country Cares backpack giveaway.
Yes.
And what I was told by Emily Smith-Mossman is that they had a great turnout for that. But once again, 200 backpacks. But what I was told by her and some of her volunteers is that they're seeing adults go into the revolving closet, the boutique for teens, and they don't turn people away, but it's really supposed to be for teens because the adults supposed to go to the Gibson Center or Christchurch Episcopal Thrift Shop, but they just said that just underscores that people are, with the food prices and high price of everything else, they're looking to get deals.
Yep. But if people are feeling the pinch, you can, that's another thing, the way station has relationships with people who can help find clothes sometimes. And so if people are really feeling the pinch, that's another thing that you come to the way station for. We used to stock clothes, and that got to be too much of an administrative burden, but we formed a network with some other places that would then work with us to get clothes for people.
And you said provide sleeping bags sometimes?
We do.
You provide tents?
We do that. We provide a mailbox. We help people. So one of the very hard things to do if you're homeless is get a driver's license.
Think about it. You don't,
Yeah. And so we can attest that someone, they'll sign an affidavit saying that they live in this town and they intend to continue to reside there. And on the grounds of that and the way station's permission to use their mailbox for that purpose, they're able to acquire a driver's license.
Gotcha.
So sometimes we help people who aren't homeless too, who just have peculiar living arrangements where their address isn't. And so we can help them as well get their car registered, or get a driver's license.
And we didn't talk about the $500,000 community development block grant.
That is still pending, and we're still optimistic. So we have a few things to work out with zoning, like we have to figure out parking spaces and how we're going to minimize impact and all that sort of thing.
And what is the $500,000 for?
Oh, that $500,000 is for renovating the building where the way station is, and we have hopes of creating a few units upstairs, 3, where we could have people live, and it wouldn't be a shelter, but where people could live for up to a year. That's the stipulation of the grant, that it'd be less than a year. And that would be while people seek housing elsewhere. And I say it's not a shelter in that the people who would live there are people who would have to be able to hold down their own apartment elsewhere. There's not going to be shelter management. It's not oversight. This is basically, assume it's like an apartment rental, but for people who are in the position where they can't find a rental for the short term. So it's a place to land while you're looking for your housing.
And do you have to go to the planning board for that, or have you already done that?
We're talking with the town planner, Ryan. We think that largely, that usage of the property is consistent with what it always was. It was always a mixed dwelling and office space, having been a rectory before.
Right.
And so we're optimistic that we're going to be able to continue using it the way it's always been used.
Okay, to be devil's advocate just for a moment, speaking to a minister, and I'm saying the devil's advocate, so I got to be careful.
I'm not scared.
All right, good. But that's in the middle of town, and people say, here we are, a tourist town. Do we really want to see homeless people congregating in the middle of town. I'm
Sure.
being the,
So first of all, this would not be congregating. This would be housing no different than any other rental place that we're working on, right?
yeah.
So, and it's 3 rooms. Each room could have a couple people in it. And it's going to be people who have background checks. It's going to be people who can, pass through the normal procedures you would have for renting a property. This is not designed for folks who are chronically homeless in this instance. We aspire to do that somewhere, sometime, but we're not in a position yet. We don't have the funds to run a shelter. We don't have the institutional capital to pull that together yet.
And what's the status of that grant?
So that grant is, we are waiting to clear the last couple hurdles with the town to make sure that we're in compliance. And then it will go to the governor's desk for signature.
Great. So to bring it full circle, let's talk about the show again.
Yes, please.
And I'll put my eyes in. So it's going to be Aspect Productions New England, which is Jonathan Sardi of Cold River Radio Show. We all love Jonathan, hardest working man in local show business. And it's going to be Sunday, August 24th at 7 o'clock at the Majestic Theater in Conway Village. And we have Griffin William Sherry of the Ghost of Paul Revere, Cassandra McKinley, jazz vocalist, Within the Zone with our good friend Tom Pollard, the adventurer among our midst who has scaled Everest, and he's got a new podcast, and it's Transformational Stories Within the Zone. And so that'll be part of it. We've also got Dr. Peter Crane, our good buddy of the Mount Washington Moment of the Observatory. And again, Jennifer Chisholm, Executive Director, New Hampshire Coalition to End Homelessness. And of course, the Cold River Radio Band, the stellar
indeed.
Cold River Band with Jonathan Sardi. And do you want to mention some of your, the sponsors for
I would love to. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So many thanks to our sponsors, especially Thrivent, Meredith Village Savings Bank, Eversource, Varsity Beverage, Walmart, Eastern Oil and Propane, Badger Peabody Smith, Cine?
Yeah, Cine.
Cine, yeah, thank you. The 93.5 WMWV Radio, the Conway Daily Sun, and and I apologize for mispronouncing this. I'm standing in for Karen.
Is that Pepsi?
No, Pasadakis? Pasadakis Jewelry.
Tim Pazakadakis Jeweler. And excuse me, Tim, if I screwed that up, but yes, we're close enough, I think.
And also the Cold River Radio Show has some sponsors too, which are separate from the way station sponsors, but maybe we should thank them as well.
Wildcat Tavern.
Yeah, Wildcat, Chandler, and
E.G. Chandler, Property Management. Eric always loves music. And then we've got, the Wildcat right there. And Keeley Realtors.
Okay.
So again, that's to get your tickets, go to coldriverradio.com, and the preview show is at 5:30 at the cafe, where Gretchen Bean of UNH and Jennifer Chisholm of Coalition to End Homelessness. So if you want to know more, go to coldriverradioshow.com. We'll have an article and ads in the Conway Daily Sun as well. So thank you, Reverend.
thank you so much, Tom. Yeah.
It's a wonderful chatting with you, and
Likewise.
great what you do to, for people who need your help. So it's
Thank
great.
you.
So thank you very much.
Yeah.